Thursday, April 17th, 2025. Got the questions called up from the Linchpin private Facebook group, as well as the squad feature there in the BTWB app. And so we'll be good to go. 10 a.m. on the dot. Nailed it today. All right. Before we get into the questions for the day, I of course have some shout outs. I got a bunch of shout outs. People are doing cool stuff. What can I say? First shout out. We just did the rowing intervals yesterday. My apologies for that. A 2,000 meter row, a 1,000 meter row, and a 500 meter row. Resting as much as you need in between those little beauties to get quote unquote full recovery so you can dance with the devil each time. Man, there were some fast times, but Nikos, G, are you kidding me? The 2,000 meter row done in 6 minutes and 48 seconds? What? The 1,000 meter row done in 3 minutes and 6 seconds, and the 500 meter row in 1:24 minutes. Those scores combined logged him a level 98 on BTWB when he logged those. That rowing, I mean, if my family was being held hostage and I had to row any one of those times to secure them, my family would perish. That's crazy. Another big shout out, Justin D. for Nancy. We did Nancy the other day. 5 rounds for time, 400 meter run, and then for the gentleman, 15 overhead squats at 95 pounds. And he said that Nancy almost always wins, but today he was the victor. And he PR'd his score by 1 minute and 56 seconds. So he's about 2 minutes faster than the last time we did this workout, which is a huge improvement on this workout. He did it in 12 minutes and 51 seconds. That's blazing fast, like ridiculous. So huge congrats to him. That scored him a level 95. This one I entitled Yay Rebecca. This is for Rebecca B. So she did her version of Nancy with 1,000 meters on the bike erg and 15 overhead squats at 25 kilos. She's overseas. But she improved on her time by 1 minute and 21 seconds on that, which is a huge improvement. And she basically says that it's very cool when you beat your younger self by over a minute. So that's pretty awesome. This one I entitled Yay Shauna. What does Shauna have here? Also for Nancy. She said, me and Nancy have a history. My first couple of years of CrossFit, I pushed too hard, too much, and too fast, and I torched my shoulder. I did Nancy in 2020, and it was the last straw for the old shoulder, and I quit CrossFit altogether for 6 months. Today felt smooth and steady. All the overhead squats were unbroken. I'll probably never be a quick runner, but I wasn't gasping at any point. Are Nancy and I friends now? I think that we just might be. So huge congrats to Sean, especially overcoming what she did with her shoulder now to the point that she did all the overhead squats unbroken. That's huge. 2 more. Tanner B, aka Dr. Squat. This was from that disgusting, beautiful, glorious heavy day we did with the max effort front squat sets. And he did, and it was at 70% of your 1 rep max front squat, and you did it for max reps. We did that a few times. Tanner has a monster squat. So 70% of his 1 rep is still 300 pounds. So he had 300 pounds on the bar for a max set of front squats, and he executed 14 unbroken front squats at 300 pounds. That is preposterous, but well done, Tanner. Okay, final shout out. I entitled this one, Yay Emily. This is about box jumps from Emily R. It says, yay, I got out of bed and I got 24-inch box jumps. It's been a long time since I did them, and I had a bit of a mental game to try the first one, but I did all of them and they felt good. I had given up on box jumps in my last programming. Linchpin gave me the confidence to do them again. Thanks for that. So very cool. You know, I could go down a rabbit hole, but that's also the point sometimes where we'll put things in accessory work, not only because they're beneficial, but you can gain confidence. We have those days that are for time or not, or specifically not for time days. And those not for time days give a lot of people the time, patience, and confidence to try things, play with things, and modify things that maybe they haven't touched in years. And all of a sudden you realize that you're more capable than you thought you were. So life's good. Okay, let's dive into the questions. Pardon me while I drink my beverage, but I'm still on, getting caffeine into the old system today. That is good. Okay, first one is from Chris Yu. From my understanding, the best way to build cardiovascular fitness is to have around 80% of your cardio be around zone 2, some lower heart rate stuff, and maybe 20% of your activity as zone 4 or 5. Obviously, we hit the upper zones more frequently. Do you feel like doing 3 of the workouts each week at a slower pace would help build this base? Not modulating intensity for the sake of burnout or longevity, but purely from a cardiovascular perspective. Okay, interesting question. So basically the question is about what's the best way to build a cardiovascular base. I think what has to be framed with this, Chris, is, are you looking at it from the perspective of somebody who is solely running, and therefore you're laying out your training volume, distance, and intensity levels as somebody that's just running? Or are we talking the fitness enthusiast, mixed modality? You're going to be doing everything from weightlifting to gymnastics to running to biking to rowing to calisthenics to everything in between, having heavy days and heavy days at high heart rates. That's a bit of a different story right there. I think what you laid out is what would typically happen in just a running community. On the other side of the fence, because you could build a great VO2 max or a great base with running, and if that's all you did, you hop on the rower and it doesn't translate. You hop on the air bike and it doesn't translate. All this cardiorespiratory endurance that you have doesn't manifest when it's 10 minutes of burpees and things like that. So the mixed modality is a bit of a different beast. What I would say is, if you look at everybody doing Linchpin, and then when we program 5K run days, 10K run days, or people that on their own go out and do a half marathon, go do a 10K run, sign up for an adventure race or something like that. There's repeated evidence over and over again that what we're doing clearly builds that aerobic base that translates to being able to go out and do that. Now, with that being said, maybe this falls under the want versus need. Do I think that you need to do anything else, like go out for some extra runs or whatnot? I don't think so. Maybe you want to, that's okay. But what you said, for doing a few of the workouts at a lower intensity pace, I don't think that's going to, with the goal of building that aerobic base, I don't think that's going to achieve what you think it's going to achieve, because you're trying to apply that classic just running training frequency regarding intensity to the workouts of the week. So I personally wouldn't do that, is what I say. Now, feel free to experiment, for sure, go ahead. But I would modulate the intensity for the workouts each week based upon how you feel, to ensure that you're optimizing your recovery and to ensure that you can bring adequate levels of intensity when needed. If on top of that, you have actually really identified that running can fall into 2 categories. Something that you actually have identified you really need to get better at. It is something that's truly lagging behind relative to your other capacities, or it's just something that you like and you want to get better at. Either one of those two, that's totally cool. And then you could feel free to add that in if you wanted to do a couple extra runs each week, lower intensity that don't beat you up, staying in that zone 2. I think you'd be good to go, and then just listen to your body and see how does that interplay with the Linchpin workouts, and are you getting overtrained, underrecovered, anything like that. Chris, some other things that you might enjoy with regards to this topic. Check out Linchpin Conversations number 332, as well as 468. We talk about zone 2 stuff there as well. And then way back, Linchpin Conversations 363 was entitled, Can You Get Better at Running Without Running? So all of those might be good for you. 332, 468, 363. Okay. This question's going to throw me for a loop. From Mark K. I think a very simple definition of a leader is a person with other people following them. By this definition, I think you are a successful leader. What thoughts and or advice do you have about leading people? Ooh, man. Thoughts on leadership. I don't have any like nuggets and incredible things that I'm going to throw out right now. This could be a topic all in of itself that I'd have to like sit down and dedicate a couple hours to. The first thing that pops into my mind is I think sometimes people confuse leaders and managers, and the two are not the same. Some of their jobs might overlap. Managers, they keep the train running on time. X, Y, and Z have to be accomplished, and X, Y, and Z do get accomplished. The check boxes get ticked off. Great. When you get into leadership, and then you get into inspiring other people, walking the walk, talking the talk, putting other people's needs ahead of your own, taking in the good of the group, being superior to your own wants and desires, having to make hard decisions, having to tell people no every now and then or tell them yes, knowing people need a kick in the butt, knowing when they don't need a kick in the butt, they need to pull them back, hiring the right people, putting them in the right places, having the humility to understand when you make a bad decision and own that bad decision. There's so much that I think that goes into leadership, and all I will say is I have been very fortunate over the course of my life, both in the military and in the civilian world, to be exposed to both sides of the fence. I've had some really, really great leaders around me, both in the civilian world and the military, specifically in the military, and some very bad ones as well, that absolutely showed me what not to do and what I didn't want to encompass. And sometimes that's as important as anything else. I think I have told this story before. Maybe I'll try to find it real quick. Okay, bear with me, everybody. Sorry, I'm doing this on the fly live to see if I can find this one, because there was a story I told in a previous Ask Me Anything about a leadership experience that I had. I'm going to have to write in leadership and see if I get anything here. It didn't come up. Okay, forget it. Sorry, that was a bust. Sorry, everybody. But I know I told the story when Asked Me Anything of when I was a very young in the military, junior officer. I was a part of something that did not go right. It was bad. I was the senior man there, so it was on me. Didn't matter if I was inexperienced or not. I was a senior man on site, and I tried to lie about it, hide it, make it go away, and it happened in another country. We didn't think anybody would ever find out about it, and people did find out about it, and my boss's boss, high up the food chain, his boss found out about it. Now we're like 5 steps up the food chain, and that top level boss chewed my boss a new one. And then that individual called me into his office, and the gig was up, and let me know that what just happened and how he just got his butt chewed out 7 ways from Sunday because he got blindsided by something that I was responsible for and I didn't tell him. And he had every right in the world to eviscerate me, and he did not. We actually had an amazing conversation for about an hour as to what he didn't know when he was young in the leadership world and what he wishes that he would have done different and all this stuff. And it was a conversation that sticks with me to this day. And so I've been very lucky to have some good leaders in my life. So maybe we can circle back to that sometime for an actual like full-blown topic on that, because that's a big one. Let's see. From Renee G. During the daily video explanation, can a brief explanation of the accessories be included, please? They are obviously relevant to the workout, but a better understanding would be helpful. Well, like I just said there about leadership, sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it's no. I can't promise that, but I'll get with Mateo and we will see if we can figure out a little bit of something to see if we're optimizing that there. But I will say for the accessory work, just for anybody who's unfamiliar with it or newer to Linchpin, it'd be good to mention the accessory work. So there's accessory work every day. It is truly optional. You never need to do a piece of it for your entire life. and you'll be wonderfully fit. You'll be great. However, if you maybe have reached a plateau in some area and there is something holding you back, well, then touching something a bit more frequently can have value. Maybe you're one of those psychos, those beautiful psychos that just wants a little bit extra each day. Go right ahead. If you're going to try the accessory work, it's a respectable dosing, okay? So treat it with caution, meaning don't just hop into not doing the accessory work ever to suddenly doing it 5 days a week. You'll probably feel like a train hits you. You'll be under-recovered, overtrained, you'll bring less intensity to your workouts, and then doing the accessory work will actually cause you to plateau because you won't be able to hit the workouts with the intensity that you should. So if you want to try the accessory work, do a crawl, walk, run method. Try, whatever it is, do half of it. Don't do all the accessory work. And don't do it every day. Do it 2 times a week. Do that for a couple weeks. How do you feel? If you feel good, maybe do half the accessory work 3 times a week. How do you feel? You could build up to 4 or 5 times a week, and then you could start to build up to reaching the full accessory work each day. That would be a good way to do it. Or you can pick and choose your accessory work. Maybe conditioning is an area that you suffer with or struggle with, and when the accessory work is conditioning focused, you embrace that. Maybe below parallel is where you need a little bit of extra help. When you see it's below parallel, you do that. So you could pick and choose it as well. Usually, the accessory work, there'll be, like, let's just say, generally speaking, 2 parts to it, 2 pieces. Again, all optional. And maybe on a particular day, one part is, let's just say, midline, some ab stuff, and the other one is overhead. Okay? Well, there might be, for like the overhead option, there might be 3 different options. Option A might be Turkish get-ups. Option B might be strict shoulder press. Option C might be some handstand work, okay? The goal is not to do all 3 of those, okay, because they're all overhead. The goal is you look at those, and if you are going to do them, you say to yourself, do I have the capacity to do all 3 of these safely? Maybe you can't kick into a handstand, so that answers that. Can I do all 3 of these safely? If the answer is yes, then the next question should be, which of these 3 choices gets me the most outside my comfort zone? And that would be my simple recommendation of which of those 3 you select. So when there's more than one similar choice, like an overhead pressing or whatever, or below parallel, that would be how I would make that selection as well. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. Where was I? Brian T. Thoughts on the pegboard as an odd object to have in the garage gym? I have a perfect wall for it and I'm considering one. I know it won't be in the program, but curious for your overall thoughts as well as how to best integrate it during days with an upper body pull. For instance, would it be similar to rope climbs? So first of all, the pegboard. Yep, it's not going to come up that frequently at all in programming because maybe 1 out of 100 people have it, but actually probably not even that many. Should you get one if you have the resources and the space and the desire? Yes, because variance is cool. And so you put that in there, the pegboard is going to be dependent on how you use it. You might have your feet on the wall a little bit, but generally speaking, you're not kipping on that thing, so it's a strict, demanding, tough upper body pull. So I would see that leans to days that are strict with regards to what's going on with the upper body. Is it a legless rope climb? Is it strict pull-ups, strict chin-ups, strict chest-to-bar, weighted pull-ups, things like that? All of those things would probably be great days to use something fun like the pegboard. Whereas on a kipping, high-intensity, short and sharp sort of a day, maybe do that on the pull-up bar and then leave the other work for the pegboard. But man, you become strong at the pegboard, capable and competent at the pegboard, life's going to be good. And it'll be fun. Have fun with your training. Get the new piece of kit, the toy or whatnot that you throw in there every now and then, and it makes walking out into the gym a bit more of a pleasurable experience. That's a good thing. That keeps you in the game. Okay, Jonathan N. Boom, here it is. Do you have any thoughts on the current state of the sport and business side of CrossFit? Sure, I do. They're all over the place and they're quite scattered. I mean, so what's the quick recap, right? The sports side seems to be struggling. I mean, based upon open number signups. I think that's just factual data. And On the business side, I don't know. They don't show me the books, right? Or any affiliate owner of the books, so I don't know. But I would tend to think, the open drives revenue, the open's down. I don't know what's going on with affiliate numbers. They've said that they're looking to sell. I don't know what the asking price is. I don't know when a business goes in that is potentially contemplating buying CrossFit and they do really good hardcore due diligence of income and expenses and all that stuff. How do the numbers look? Does it support the price that they're asking? Is there room there for them to make a return on their investment? Like, I don't know any of that stuff. All I do know is I don't even know what I don't know if this isn't going to be the right wording, so don't hold me to this wording. It matters and it doesn't matter. Okay? And what I mean by that is if you're interested in using the methodology of CrossFit, what we do every day, to be fitter, faster, and stronger, to improve your overall long-term health and conditioning, and to have fun, you can do that no matter what happens with those questions that you asked me. Does somebody buy the business with the most amazing team and amazing business plan and it just thrives to untold heights of glory? Cool, company will make a lot of money. Probably won't change your experience in the garage. Probably not significantly. Burpees are still going to suck. It is what it is. It'll still work. It'll still do what it does. Does a company come in thinking they're going to do great and they just fly the plane into the mountain and nothing works and it explodes and it's bankrupt in 2 years? That would suck for a whole bunch of other reasons. Wouldn't change anything that you have going on in the gym because the methodology is out there. The methodology is like the toothpaste in the tube, right? Once you squeeze the toothpaste out of the tube, you can't really stuff the toothpaste back in there. It's out there forever and ever and ever. So the methodology and what we do every day, it's out there. Nobody can ever take it away. The business, well, that's a different beast, of things that luckily I don't have to worry about. So I don't know. I do think whoever purchases CrossFit, if anyone does, I think they have a tough road ahead of them, because CrossFit is so unique. I don't know that you can just bring in a bunch of people with MBAs and think that you're going to fix it. I actually think that doesn't work very well. But on the other side of the house, it isn't necessarily going to work if you just bring in like a bunch of OG CrossFitters, because you've got, I don't know, 8, 10, 12,000, however many affiliates there are in all these different cultures all over the country, all different rental rates, all these different things that they want. Some people want the open 5 weeks, some people want it 3 weeks, some people want it 4 weeks. I want this in the games. I don't want this in the games. I want a business plan. I don't want a business plan. I want this from HQ. I don't want this from HQ. Man, that's a lot to manage. I don't envy anybody trying to do that. That's a tough one. And then I've heard people say things about CrossFit, which I agree with because I think they're an accurate statement, but they're fluffy and vague, and I don't know how do you actually implement that. Things like, well, you've got to make CrossFit cool. You've got to make the name mean something and the brand mean something because you want people to be associated with the brand. So it's got to be cool. When you hear it, it's got that cool vibe to it. Well, yeah, I buy that. It makes sense that you would want the name to be cool and to be something that people want to be associated with. I think that everybody's probably that's ever owned CrossFit has known that, but how do you actually real time in like a bulletized format execute that? And that I haven't seen that like materialized. And again, maybe somebody knows how to do that and they're going to swoop in and do it, and maybe they don't. But I think the business side is really hard. And luckily, again, we don't have to worry about that. If somebody comes in and they're the savior, we will continue to do what we've been doing for years here at Linchpin. Nothing changes. If somebody comes in and flies the plane into the mountain and it disintegrates in 2 years, we will continue to do what we do here every day at Linchpin. And that gives me a wonderful sense of calm and peace that I wouldn't have if I was trying to take over the actual entire business. So I'll tell you what though, it's not going to be boring. We'll keep our eyes open and see what happens. Okay, Kyle H. I do banded pull-ups with a band around my knee. Am I missing out on anything by not taking the band all the way to my foot? Interesting. I wonder why you do banded pull-ups with the band around your knee. If it's, obviously if the band is around your knee and not around your foot, I would think that you're not stretching the band out as much as it would be if you stretched it to your foot. And therefore, the band would actually be under less tension, so it would give you less help and therefore make the pull-ups a bit more challenging, where if you stretch the band all the way to your foot, it would give you more assistance on the pull-up. Now, that being said, that could be a great way to use, as long as it doesn't, like, I'm assuming that you're really good at it, it doesn't, like, slide off your knee and, slap you in the face and do something terrible. Let's just assume for a second that it's safe and secure. Man, that could be a really great way to almost have like a 2-for-1 sort of a band, where I have this same band, green band, that if I put around my foot, it gives me this much help, and if I put it around my knee, it reduces it, makes the pull-ups more challenging, and so I can kind of progress. That's really cool. I mean, if it's safe and secure around your knee, and it doesn't, again, fly up and smack you in the face, I don't see anything wrong with that. You would just get more assistance from the band if it was all the way down your foot. So I don't see any drama with that at all. Actually could be helpful for people. What am I doing? Oh, I wanted to mention when I talked about the accessory work a little bit ago, if anybody wanted to hear more in-depth talk about that, go to Linchpin Conversations number 514. We dove into accessory work there. Natalie T. I always blow up on kipping pull-ups after about 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 7, for instance. If we're doing a workout and it's 4 rounds of 15, I always have a hard time keeping the intensity high on pull-ups. Lots of doubles and singles near the end of any workout. Any tips or tricks to build capacity? I try to do strict pull-ups as one of the pull-up workouts each week to help me recover. So good on you. So if pull-ups come up, or upper body pulling comes up twice a week, and one time you do kipping and one time you do strict, which is actually usually how we try to work it out anyway. Good on you for working both. The truth is, I mean, you're actually more incredible than you're giving yourself credit for, Natalie, on the pull-ups. Can we just say that? I watch you in the private track. For anyone, Natalie's just monstrously strong. Former power lifter, monstrously strong. For you to have the back squat that you do and the deadlift that you do, I mean, it's amazing. And then, you're working your running, you're working your pull-ups. Like, it makes sense that pull-ups aren't your favorite jam in the whole world, given how ferociously strong you are with your powerlifting background and all that. What you can do with the pull-ups is actually really impressive. So I'd give yourself some grace and credit right there. Good on you for working the stricties. That's going to help you. What might help you during the kipping workouts to increase the sets that you can take in your muscular stamina, maybe getting to Kyle's question about the band as well, is I would have a band ready, okay? And a band that gives you just a smidge of help, not a band that sends you into orbit, right? And so let's say, okay, you say kip and pull-ups after about 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 7. If we're doing a workout and it's 15, I'll always have a hard time keeping the intensity up on the higher ones. So what I would do is I'd have that band there. You do the kipping pull-ups that you can. Maybe round 1 goes well, right? Maybe round 2 starts to go well as also. On round 3, they get, round 3 and 4 are definitely going to be broken up. Round 4 for sure, like you said. So somewhere in round 3 or 4, when you notice that you're really starting to, your pull-up stamina is going down, bigger breaks are needed, you just don't have it anymore, do a set of pull-ups, kipping pull-ups, and then instead of resting, whatever time is needed to get back up there and kip again, put your foot in the band, maybe after just a quick shake of your hands, 5-10 seconds, get back up there, foot in the band, and you can kip with a band as well, and finish out that set of kipping pull-ups with the band. What that's going to force you to do is it's going to allow you to get back on the pull-up bar much sooner than you would have if you actually had to allow for full recovery to do true kipping again, and it's going to force your musculature to work under fatigue and start to build some competence beyond a rep range that you're comfortable with. And much like everything else, as you get better and better with that, and if you have that pull-up bar hanging there for rounds 3 and 4, over the course of weeks and months, there's a good chance that the sets that you bite off before you have to do the band will be increasing. The sets that you need to do once you get onto the band will lessen, and then maybe you'll even be able to reduce the band to a lighter, easier band, and so you can make progress that way. So I think the banded pull-ups and forcing you to go into some deeper sets with the use of the band would be a great thing for you. But it's gonna sting, but it'll be good. Okay, one more sip of caffeine. I think this is the final question here, which is good because I've got a Linchpin member interview to do in 30 minutes here. And so we do Linchpin member interviews once a week. We post them on Tuesdays on the CrossFit Linchpin YouTube channel under the playlist of, I usually put them under 2 playlists, Linchpin Conversations and member interviews. If you are an active member of Linchpin and you would like to share your story and do an interview with me, shoot me an email to info at crossfitlinchpin.com about doing a member interview, and we'll go ahead and make it happen. And if you want to see what they're about and all that, just go check out that member interviews playlist on the CrossFit Linchpin YouTube channel, and you can see exactly what we're doing. But it's very cool to share everybody's story. Okay, Mike M. Short of it being a movement that you can't do or weight that you can't lift, how often do you modify the workout you do from what is posted? What reasons, other than the 2 above that I just gave, would warrant somebody modifying? Assuming that you have access to all equipment needed. So basically, I think what Mike's asking, and I don't know if you're asking Mike just for me or in general, people would say, okay, there's want versus need. Obviously, if you can't do a movement, well, then you're gonna have to modify. Obviously, if you cannot lift a certain weight, you're gonna have to modify. Excluding those 2 more obvious reasons, are there any other reasons that I would ever modify a workout or anybody should? And so I would say the short answer is yes, for a couple reasons. Maybe one, okay, I don't want to lose one. Maybe you're in a funk. We're human beings. That actually happens, right? If only every day we had unlimited discipline and unlimited motivation, and it was always easy to eat clean and always easy to put our phone down and not get addicted to that, and always easy to walk into the gym and just hit the workout, because you know what? Everybody wants to do a max ever 2K row, right? If you're having that day and you got the discipline, great, go do it. But look, some days just not feeling it. Now, this is nuanced too, because okay, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't want to go out there and row a 2K, a 1K, and a 500. Okay, but that was just me knowing the pain that was coming. I had to go do it. Okay, so that was just me. Hey, Pat, suck it up. Don't be a little crybaby. Nobody cares what you want to do. You know what you should do. Go do it. The fact that you don't want to do it means this is really what you should. Okay, so that exists. There's the don't be a crybaby every now and then. But then there is the just, life's got you down for whatever reason. Life's tough. Work's tough. Family things are tough. That all happens, right? Let's not act like it doesn't. And now on top of everything else, you just don't feel fired up to walk into the gym. Okay. But you could walk into the gym if you did something else, but you're just not feeling the L sits. You're not feeling a track day. Maybe, you love to run and you actually don't like to lift heavy. Those people exist. Tomorrow's a 7x1 back squat, I think. You're having one of those days where just the whole world is against you. You feel the weight of the world in your shoulders and you're like, if I have to 7x1 back squat today, I don't want to do anything. I'd rather sit on the couch. But I'm one of those crazy people, like John W., who's in Linchpin, that actually loves burpees. I could go do some burpees. Yeah, I could do that. Cool, go do the burpees. That's a win. You maintained yourself in the physical culture. And that's wildly different than the stimulus of the day, which was developing absolutely top end below parallel strength. That's way different than, let's say, 10 minutes of burpees. Okay, but that's the ideal world. But then the real world is People are dealing with different things on different days. So a reason that you might want to modify is you're just having one of those days, the weight of the world's on your shoulders, and like, you know what, today I just want to do something that I love. I'm going to cherry pick. I love DT. I'm going to do DT. I love running, rowing, biking. I love Cindy. I love whatever it is. I'm going to pull some heavy deads. Do whatever you want to do because that keeps you in the gym. And you might have to do that for one day and then you feel good. The cobwebs are out. You're like, I needed that. Good. I'm back on track. Cool. You might have a bad couple of days. You might have a bad week. You might have a bad 2 weeks where you just allow yourself to walk in and go, look around and go, oh, sandbag. Man, I haven't played with my sandbag in a while. I'm going to use my sandbag today because that's what I want to do. Cool. And if you do that for a couple of weeks and you move your body, you do good function, like you're winning no matter what you're winning. And then the demons get out and you get back on track. That's cool. So that can be a reason to modify as well, quite frankly. You can modify because you're short on time. You can modify because you don't have time to warm up. You can modify for any number of reasons. Or, that was me getting into the discipline, motivation. I'm a bit depressed or the weight of the world's on my shoulders. But it's also okay just to modify every now and then because it's okay to have fun working out. So maybe Nancy came around the other day, right? Overhead squats and running. And you're like, oh, I just don't feel like overhead squatting. I know that I should, but you know what? I'm not going to. I'm going to do a overhead walking lunge instead. Cool. You know what? I'm going to do a single arm overhead walking lunge with a dumbbell or a kettlebell. You know what? I don't feel like having my arms over my head. I'm going to do Nancy with back squats. And Nancy's supposed to be kind of a lighter load, higher rep range, sets of 15, where it's just this burn each time. So I'm going to choose a load that makes sense for that. Cool. You did back squat, Nancy. Great. You know what? I'm going to bear hug a sandbag because I don't care what Nancy thinks. And this sounds actually really cool and fun. And I just want to do it. You're not going to be shortchanged with your below parallel strength, your respiratory. You're going to be great. Yeah, did you stabilize load overhead? No, you didn't. It's one day out of like 250 training days over the course of the year if you work out 5 days a week. I'm going to do dumbbell thrusters instead of overhead squat. A light dumbbell thruster that just burns what I can do each time it sets 15. Cool. Or I'm not feeling any of that at all. My body says don't load me today. So I'm going to do air squats each time. Cool. Or you're like, you know what? I'm going to do a totally different version of Nancy. I saw somewhere online that 180 running step single unders is an equivalent to running 400 meters. So I'm going to do my version of Nancy today is I'm going to do the overhead squats with 95 pounds or 65 pounds, but instead of going out each time for a 400 meter run, I'm going to do 180 running step single unders. That would be dirty. Cool. You modify for any of those reasons. You just looked at your jump rope and it looked lonely. So there's a whole bunch of reasons that I could think of to modify something that don't involve you just simply can't lift the weight or you don't have the capacity to do that movement. So yeah, hopefully that helps. All right, everybody, as I record this, it's Thursday. Have a fantastic day. We've got some family stuff this weekend. So I'm going to actually work out 5 days in a row this week and leave my weekend totally free. So that means today I'll be doing tomorrow's workout. So sometime today I got to get in there and do those darn back squats. Have a great day, Linchpin. Keep being awesome, and we'll talk later.